Two teens are shot, and right now that shooter is still on the run.
And tonight, Kalamazoo Public Safety officials are looking into a shooting that happened at 4 p.m. right behind a Kalamazoo elementary school in broad daylight. Kalamazoo Public Safety Chief Vernon Coakley says the kids were walking on the sidewalk at Pearl Street, where it connects to Dutton Street. That's right next to El Sol and to Chenery Auditorium. And that's where we're heading out live right now, where News Channel 3's Chris Yu picks up the story, joining us from the scene of this shocking crime. Chris.
Yeah, Andy and Erica, Kalamazoo police say that two 13-year-old boys were shot here in the Vine neighborhood around 4 this afternoon. Police say the two boys were walking along this sidewalk on Pearl Street with a group of other kids when the gunman fired at them. Now, one boy is in critical condition tonight. The other is stable. The scene is right next to El Sol Elementary, right behind me. And tonight, police continue to look for the gunman. An all too familiar sound in Kalamazoo.
4 or 5, like loud pops.
Gunshots.
I heard someone shouting that I'm hit, I'm hit.
And a cry for help.
I was more than terrified when I saw that.
Terrified because those cries came from children.
I was just in shock, pretty much.
And Kalamazoo Public Safety Chief Vernon Coakley is frustrated.
This is damaging to our community, and it needs to stop.
Coakley says at around 4 Tuesday afternoon, a group of kids were walking along Pearl Street when a gunman wearing a ski mask shot two 13-year-olds on the sidewalk. Any indication of there's a connection between the suspect and the victim?
At this time, we don't know. Still investigating.
Coakley says the shooter then ran off.
We believe this is an isolated incident. There is no public safety threat to our knowledge at this time.
KDPS says one of the boys is in critical condition. The other is stable. As for a possible motive,
we have detectives at the hospital attempting to get that information.
Jennifer Molnar-Widerberg lives across the street from the scene. She saw paramedics working on one of the teens in her neighbor's front yard.
I'm very worried about it. It's chaotic, and it's insane that it's happening.
So Coakley is urging anyone with information to come forward.
We're around a school today, and this is serious. I've had enough. If you haven't, I have.
The Kalamazoo Public Information Officer says as of tonight, no arrest has been made. KDPS says as of Sunday, there had been 307 assaults with a firearm so far this year. That's 19 more than during the same time frame last year.
Hundreds rallied at the state capitol today,
all demanding a forensic audit of the 2020 presidential election. Our political reporter Rachel Louise Just joins us live from Lansing to tell us why today's crowd was much larger, Rachel, than expected.
Yeah, Erica, it was a lot larger. Now, things ended a couple of hours ago without any incident. People have gone home now. But originally, this was supposed to be a crowd of just 100 people. And then last week, we got an endorsement from former President Donald Trump telling people to be at this rally. And we saw hundreds more people. We also saw an increased police presence and some lawmakers even avoiding the Capitol today. 324 days since Michigan certified the state's presidential election results, and some are still questioning them.
Because if we want to keep the freedom that our Constitution gives you, we need to fight for it every single day.
Hundreds gather in Lansing to demand a forensic audit of the election.
It is at the request of the people, and the people are asking.
We need to look beyond the ballots. We need to look at the poll book, the qualified voter file, the chain of custody, and make sure the process was done right.
According to the Michigan Secretary of State's office, all of that has been done already. More than 250 audits of the election by Republican, Democratic, and nonpartisan election officials across the state have found no evidence of widespread fraud.
We did basically a recount rather than an audit, and that will give us the confidence in the election results. And none of us has that right now.
Former President Donald Trump sent a letter last week telling supporters to show up.
We want an audit.
One speaker today telling the crowd Trump could be calling in, though that didn't end up happening. A handful of counter-protesters out at the Capitol, including Michael Robertson.
I feel like there's a lot of disinformation surrounding this past election, and I just wanted to come out and state the central fact that Trump did, in fact, lose. He lost by 7 million votes, fair and square.
House Democratic leader Donald Lisinski says the calls for another audit and the claims of a stolen election go beyond 2020.
This isn't about overturning the last election. This is about sowing the seeds to overturn the next election.
Speakers today included congressional candidate Steve Carra, Attorney General candidate Matthew DePerno, and Secretary of State candidate Christina Caramo. All are Trump endorsed. Now, the Michigan House and Senate today did cancel their session ahead of this rally, but they will be back tomorrow.
In this hour on how you can weigh in on what Battle Creek leaders choose to spend $30.5 million in COVID aid on over the next several years. Today, the first town hall in a series of meetings set to discuss plans for the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
News Channel 3's Lexi Petrovich is live where the first meeting is being held this afternoon. Lexi, there are some preferences the city is already having to rule out.
Kirk, Laura, there are some stipulations on how the money can be spent, and that's part of what city leaders will be explaining to residents here at the first town hall meeting happening today. It'll be taking place here where I'm live this morning at Kingdom Builders in Battle Creek, and it's one of 8 town hall meetings that are scheduled for the next 2 months. Those will both be virtual and in person. Now, the town halls look to share information with the public, answer questions, and hear directly from Battle Creek residents on their funding ideas. Assistant City Manager for the City of Battle Creek, Ted Deering, says there are some city priorities, but ultimately this is a community decision. Deering says in most cases the money has to be used in areas proven to be impacted negatively by COVID-19 in the last 18 months. This means that some areas won't qualify for funding.
A lot of people reach out to us and say, well, you know what you need to do, just pay down your debt, right? Well, that's unfortunately, we cannot do that. There are a lot of folks that have some ideas around small business support and that kind of thing that we might not necessarily be able to fund because we can't create a direct tie to negative economic impact. In some instances we can, but in a lot of instances we can't.
Every scheduled town hall will share the same information, so you'll only need to attend one if you're interested. And today's meeting will take place from 5 until 7 here at Kingdom Builders in Battle Creek. We have a list on our website detailing the upcoming town hall meetings as well as their times on WWMT.com. And still ahead, live at 6:30, I'll tell you what projects the city is prioritizing.